When I first got into the chamber as president of the chamber, I was hit with numerous amounts of visitors to the city complaining about the cats on the waterfront.
There were a lot of cats, there were a lot of issues with the boat owners and with the restaurants, and these cats were starving.
The cats congregated around the dumpsters that belonged to the restaurants. That was their source of food.
Every spring they'd be found dead. You'd find kittens and cats dead in the boats, and the boats at that point were trashed in the process, but I don't blame the cats, but I also understand the point of view of the boat owners.
There were kittens and cats that were running all around, and I remember rescuing some kitties. This is long before the feline rescue started. In '91, Jan DeWitt and I spoke. She was doing her own thing, and I had never met her. And then we talked to Shirley McNanty, who was then the president of the Chamber of Commerce.
I knew Dorothy and called them into my office and said, "What do you want to do?"
What Jan wanted to do was go to the various restaurants on the waterfront and ask if they would help us financially to get some of these cats spayed and neutered.
Being a cat lover myself, it was pretty easy for me to approach them. And I approached them in a way that was in business's pocket.
That's how we started. We just got right to work and started trapping, spaying, neutering.
I was able to go out, and one of my newer members that was a vet.
It was Regina Downey who came to Salisbury on Bridge Road, and she set up a practice. And it was through that connection that Regina offered our organization the first 25 neuterings for free.
After that, we literally went out and started trapping and took them in.
It was 300 plus along the waterfront. That's what and Nancy and Bob, people have said, how did you know? They are the two people who were trapping all the time and were on the waterfront all the time. They were feeding, it was just part of their lives. And they counted the cats, and they knew all the cats.
And down the waterfront, we used to go up on the rafters up in the boathouse, and the cats would be up high too.
The boatyard just took a lot of determination from a whole lot of people who we all worked together, not just there, but Pike Street. That whole greater waterfront area was in and of itself a challenge.
We had one big boat out in the boatyard there that had kittens, and they made a mess in the boat. And it had two big beds in it and everything else, but we ended up trapping the kittens, and one of them got down the bow, and we couldn't get at him. He kept ducking in under the spaces there, and so finally I put some water in, and I trapped him, and he came out to get the water, and I got him trapped in.
There were people in that general area who didn't like having the cats there, so they would throw rocks at them or disturb. While we're trying to trap, they would disturb it, and it's like, can you just let us do it?
And as soon as we became known as a group that was rescuing these kitties, trapping them, we found out about other colonies, like the colony where Blue Ocean is over in Salisbury Beach, and Cove Marina, which is just on the other side of Route 1 in Salisbury. There were just other pockets of cats that we became aware of.
Some of the situations where we had very trap-savvy cats, if we'd been trapping in an area, let's say that had 20 cats, we'll just use that. They started seeing very quickly how those traps worked. So then we had to figure out how to make a drop trap.
I was over in Salisbury, went over to trap cats, and I watched them. And the cat would come in, step over the trap, and eat the food. Then he'd go out, and another one would come in, do the same thing.
Finish off the food.
Yeah, so I tied a string to the trap to the treadle, and the next time a cat come in, I pulled the string and I caught the cat.
We had someone build little huts for the cats where people would put the food in, or if it was really cold, they could sleep in there.
We had some barrels, and we put straw and some insulation and some plastic on the outside, and old ski jackets and whatever else would insulate the kitties. But we started, you know, if they had nowhere else to go, they could go in these stations.
We found ourselves in a situation where we had friendlies, and then we were like, now what do we do?
And then the next thing you know, everybody had, I mean, I had cats in every room in my house, but Nancy's the one who took in the most.
We had probably, at one time, we had 100 kittens. Well, we had cats in the house that were in kennels, but we also had cats on the porch, kittens on the porch.
That was when I realized we didn't have control of the situations in everyone's house, and we needed to have that. So that's why we made a priority of finding a place as a shelter.
And when we started, the concept of having a shelter was not in our brain. Our original name was Newburyport Trap, Neuter, and Return. It was Bob McNeil that came up with the Merrimack River Feline Rescue Society.
Regina Downey, Dr. Downey, who originally gave us the spay and neuters, rented us the upstairs of her office building in her medical building.
Then there were 3 of us to man 2 shifts a day, 7 days a week with 60 kitties, cleaning out cages every day, twice a day, and doing meds.
I would go to the shelter, which was on Bridge Road first, and forget to eat. I mean, I would be there. I just would get so involved in what I was doing.
There was a task that needed to be done, we just did it, and that was that.
From there, it just grew until we grew out of there and we had to get by our own house. And it was wonderful to see the expansion of something that started truly grassroots.
And then with the spay-neuter mobiles and the opportunity, because from the beginning we always wanted to replicate what we were doing, to teach others how to do it. And we've been able to be the support system for other organizations, to be the umbrella organization to help and teach them.
I couldn't be more proud of all of the people that are volunteering today and who started this with only heart, no money.
When you know that you're doing something about something that you have thought was so horrific, it's an incredible feeling.
It was just wonderful to see the wildcats on the waterfront disappear, little by little.
We're just absolutely flabbergasted and proud beyond anybody's comprehension about what this little thing that we started has turned into. It's the most beautiful butterfly. It's like a blue morpho, the most beautiful butterfly you've ever seen.
Any animal needs a chance. If you don't have a human, they haven't got a chance.